you got anything to talk about today, or
You're calling me out on it. Okay, I played the recently. I think maybe like a week or two ago, almost now. They put on the Sony PlayStation Store the Detroit Become
Human
demo was posted. So
play that?
I did. So I've been looking forward to this game for a long time because I didn't have a PS4 when like the big long trailer came out. Not like because they had like a teaser that later became it, but the actual like big one where it showed the hostage scenario and everything. So I've been looking forward to this game for a while, and that was the game where I was only gaming on my Wii U occasionally and PC at that point. So I went, okay, well, I'm definitely gonna get a PS4 at some point because of this game. I don't feel so much that this is why I own my system now, because there's so many other great games out there for it. But I enjoyed the demo. I do think it's for everybody. I think you have to really like those kind of games, because I've already seen people flood the comment sections of various social media platforms and say people either really like it or they're just like, it's not a game.
I mean, it's almost a visual novel game.
Yeah, but I do just like the idea of many different scenarios happening, and I do, after the whole my scenario is done with, I could definitely see how it would affect the storyline later on, because they like give you little notes. Just to walk you guys through the demo real quick. It's not a huge spoiler because this has been shown off in the original big trailer. You're doing the hostage scenario with Connor, the hostage android negotiator. So you get put into investigation mode, so you have a mode where you can go into bebop mode and look around you and you see everything you can interact with.
Right.
And it just kind of gives you like a sort of a checklist of things that information you can gather, and every time you gather information, it'll show you like a probability of like how likely you are to do successful in whatever scenario you're in. Specifically, the android has taken a kid hostage. It's like gone berserk.
That's like the trailer they showed.
It's exactly the trailer. You're just playing the trailer. That's all it is. So, but I enjoyed it. Just it's definitely wasn't like too challenging on the brain at all so far. I do hope that's my only gripe so far, is that I didn't feel like it was any type of challenge to like investigate the scene.
Well, it was an opening to the game.
Yeah, so it's definitely dipping your toes into it, and I ended up, you can do different things, but like you learn like the android's name, and then your probability goes up. It's like, learn the name of the android. That way I can enter the scenario and say, hey Daniel, and like the android's freaked out. How did you know my name? And, like get him off his guard.
Nice.
So I thought that was really cool, and I could definitely see so many different ways to approach it. I ended up picking up a gun, but what I'm getting at about how it affects storyline later on, when I picked up the gun, it went, note, androids are not allowed to use weapons. So I have a feeling the fact that I chose that route and took the gun, and I ended up lying to the android who asked if I was armed, and I said, no, I'm not armed. And then I ended up taking him out later. I got him to trust me, and I got him to lower his guard. He just went, I just want this all to end, blah, blah, blah. And then it went, I can either intimidate him or execute him like immediately.
Yeah.
And I just went, I'm not giving this guy a chance in the world. He's gone.
He just kidnapped a kid, took him hostage. He kidnapped the
kid. Well, and he killed the kid's father and killed another cop. And I'm like, I'm not taking chances with this guy. He's dead. As soon as I have a chance to kill him, he's gone. And that's what I did. So I have a feeling that later on in the scenario, it's gonna come up that I used the gun and that I took the android out. I wonder if there's a pacifist. I'm sure there is, like a more pacifist approach where the android doesn't die.
Right.
So
and he probably shows up later and saves you or something.
Yeah, I don't think you have anything to lose by trying to demo out, because it only took me like I think maybe 10-15 minutes to play the demo. So,
okay.
So don't think like it's a daunting thing to try it out. Just
I'll give it a try later.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested in that game mildly. I'll probably pick it up when it's $20 or less, because those games don't sell well. And for whatever reason, in the last 10 years, like, the game companies seem to have forgotten that visual novel games are not mainstream, and they keep pushing them like they are. So that's why people get so upset, because for years they're like, Heavy Rain's coming out, gonna be a big deal, and then most people don't like those types of games.
Yeah.
So it's just like you're doing the bait and switch where you're pushing this game like it's a big blockbuster game, and then the most people just want Call of Duty or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then so they boot it up and they're like, what is this? This is just walking around and stuff.
Yeah, to me, I'm just happy it's happening just because most visual novel games I play are very low budget indie games. So
I mean, but
cool
my point was that so they sell usually not great, and then what happens is that the games, since it's like a game they're pushing to be like a big title, they have so many copies of them that within like a year, like Heavy Rain was like $10.
Yeah,
so
I'm kind of on that fence too, man. And the thing is, it's so silly because I wanted a PS4 for this game.
Yeah.
But I'm also getting to the point where I
have too many games anyway.
Too many games anyway. I don't need to buy it.
So everybody and their mom has been like, "Did you get that new God of War?" And it's just like, it looks cool. I hear it's really, really good, but I have no attachment to the series, and I can wait until
it's gonna be $20
in a year.
Games like that, everyone buys them. And then everybody gives them back.
Yeah.
And then you have a huge surplus and like you said earlier, they print so many of those games. It's going to be a $20 game at some point.
By Black Friday, it'll be $20.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you look at some of the games this last Black Friday that came out. Wolfenstein came out 2 weeks before Black Friday, and it was $25.
Yeah.
On Black Friday. So
Doom didn't take long to go down in price. So yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, it looks interesting. I'll check it out. All right, so we got some big news this week. We talked about this the last podcast, and I was right on the money. I said either by now, from in between now and E3, they'll talk about the virtual console and the online, and they did.
They certainly did.
We got the online details. So
online deets coming at you.
So yeah, there was a leak ahead of time. I don't know if you heard about this on GameFAQs or whatever. It was a GameFAQs leak. And then turns out that a lot of it was true. And basically the online is, if you want to play your games online, Splatoon, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, it's $20 a year. And it's using the app still for the voice chat.
That was the most alarming part of the news for me.
Yeah.
So let's just go over the details real quick and then give our opinions.
Okay. Go over them.
Well, the Nintendo Switch Online, $20 a year. There's also going to be a family plan, which I believe is $35 a year. I don't quite understand how that works because people online are like, well, that means you can share with your friends. I don't know if they're going to be... No, I assume that means the same household.
Yeah.
So
on the same Switch. That's what it is. So it's like Daddy has the Switch and there's 3 kids in the house and they all have their own little profiles on the Switch, and now they can just hop on and play online games because Daddy bought the family plan for $35. So up to 8 accounts on that Switch can use it. Yeah. So
there's that, and there's the cloud saving system, which people have mixed reactions about that, just because it's behind a paywall. People have been asking for a way to back up their save data, and the only way to do it is behind a paywall. Which, to be fair, like, I do think Nintendo needs to offer a way to locally save backup data. That is no question. I'm not going to defend that.
They have an SD card slot. There should be an option to put your saves on the SD card.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that the paywall for the clouds is necessarily a huge surprise to me, just because Sony does that, Xbox does that. That's
right. But the problem is that it's the only option.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem.
I completely agree. And we also got so in regards to Virtual Console, so far they've just said that I think it's not clear what they mean, which is Nintendo's specialty. Really good.
It's pretty clear to me. It's
I don't
gone.
think it's clear. Well,
it's gone, but they're replacing it with this service, which is, to start, they're going to have 20 NES games.
Here's 10 of them so far. We got Ice Climber, Legend of Zelda, Balloon Fight, Soccer, Tennis, Mario Brothers, as in the original arcade one, Super Mario Brothers, Dr. Mario, Super Mario Bros. 3, and the Donkey Kong. All these are the Nintendo ports, not the original. But yeah, those are the 10 games they've announced so far. I don't think it's that bad so far, just because I felt that when they launched this service, we were going to get like maybe 3 games, and I thought they were going to be like just 2 whatever games and like Mario 2 or something like that.
Well, they're adding online multiplayer.
That's cool. Well, they've already announced that in the past.
Sure, but they were more specific this time about what you could do with it.
Yeah.
So you can play with your friends in the 2-player modes. You can spectate your friends as they play them, or you can switch the controller off. So
right, just like Sony's share play service.
Right. So like, you're playing Legend of Zelda, which is a 1-player game. Your friend can spectate you, and then you can be like, "Oh, hey, you play for a while, and I'll watch you." So, I'm all for. Okay, so here's some things. Here's some problems, and here's some hopefully not problems, but this is what I see being an issue. I'm all for getting rid of the virtual console and turning it into like a Netflix service. Okay, but here's the problem. Okay, I don't care about that much about NES games, and that seems like that's what they're going all in on. No mention of anything beyond NES games. They mentioned briefly a while back that there would be some Super Nintendo games, but the fact that at the opening of this they're just going to have all NES games and nothing else worries me a bit. Also, if it's I want it to be like a Netflix service, but I don't want there to be games constantly coming in and out. Okay, if I want to play Mario 3, I want to be able to play it whenever. I should be able to download. First of all, I don't know if this is streaming or not. If it's streaming, it's going to be a problem because you can't play those old games with any latency. And so streaming is a problem. Okay, because first of all, the internet on the Switch isn't that great. Like, I have mine plugged directly in, and I have 1 gigabit internet, and I get 30 megs or something like that plugged directly in. So it's not great. You can't stream those games. You can't stream Mario 3 and it feel right because everything's about timing and stuff. So then it begs the question, well, so can I download these games? Well, that's the ideal situation. Is they have a service, they have a virtual console service, and they have all these games up there that they put, and you can download the virtual console or the Nintendo Classics file onto your Switch and can play it whenever, and even if it goes off the server or whatever, it's still downloaded onto your Switch. Just same way that the Wii service was, where it's like they took games down, but you could still play the ones that you had downloaded. Mm-hmm. That, in my mind, is what it needs to be. If you're just totally removing the ability to buy them and replacing it with the service, then yeah, there needs to be a way where, hey, I've had Nintendo Online and they've released 80 games and I've downloaded all 80 of them, and then it's irrelevant to me whether or not they're taking them on or off. Also, and you just do it like a system like Sony does, where it's like, yeah, you get your PS Plus games, but if you don't have PS Plus,
you can't play them anymore.
You can't play it until you get it. But they don't take them away forever.
Right.
It's just as soon as you reactivate your PS Plus account, you can play them again. So in my mind, it needs to be something like that. If it's just going to be like what they originally said, where it's these games are around for a month and then they're gone, then that's not a good replacement for Virtual Console.
No.
So,
well, that's what I mean by Nintendo's very good at making announcements and then
not giving
not giving enough details, and then us having like answering stuff, but ends up giving us like 1,000 more questions than what they actually answered. So it's just, I just wish their marketing department was better at press releases. That's all it is. If they were just clear about what this service actually is, because right now, I'm just like you. I'm just anxious about it because it sounds neat, but also pretty underwhelming so far too. It's just too little for what the video game market has set as a standard at this point.
I mean, they need to be clear on how many games they're gonna release every week. How many can you keep them? How long are they gonna be around for? And most importantly, how are they going to expand? What's going to be their plan moving forward? Is there going to be N64 games? And are they going to do a lot of them? I would have happily paid 2 or 3 times more for this service if I can get more games and shit. Like, because I would have easily ended up spending probably $60 a year on Virtual Console anyway, just for the convenience of having those games that I want to play.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. Like, I wish I could have just paid more and got more better games. And also, I will pay more if they need to. Like I said earlier, the streaming is not going to work. I'm curious to see where they go with it, because it needs to be downloaded locally. Because then you also have the problem of you're not always online. What if you're on a plane or whatever and you want to play these games? So I think it'll be fine if you can download the games onto your system and then they don't just miraculously disappear when they disappear off the eShop or whatever. It'll be fine. I'll be happy with that. Even, having 20 NES games downloaded onto my system and forever basically would be great. Even if they don't add another game for another month or two, like I'd be fine with that, because it's like, okay, well, now I have all these games to play. And if they keep doing stuff like that, if you can download all the games they release weekly and it stays on your system, that would be awesome. They're having like 100 games after a year. So, and they're small files, so.
I don't know. I could see Nintendo going many different directions with this. I could see them not wanting to permanently give us those games, and they treat it as just like a temporary thing, and which even concerns me more, because my question is, and maybe it's been answered somewhere, is what are the restrictions on playing these games? Do you have to be online to play them, which I guess is part of your streaming question?
Yeah.
And my thing, it's just like, all right, well, if you're going to do that, then maybe we could download it, and then there has to be a license inside the system that gets renewed whenever it goes online. If your system's offline for too long, then you can't play it. I don't know. Too many questions. So honestly, I just hope they talk about it more. I'm sure they will at E3, but God, they're so good at things coming out so soon, and we still know so little about it.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be done at launch in September, and that's 4 months away. And we don't know what the service is, and they want me to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, we can only pray that we'll get more details at E3, which is a month from today. So.
I pray that the reason they held back on 10 of the games is that they will pull the curtain back and say the other half are Super Nintendo games.
No, they said it was 20 NES games.
They said 20 NES games? Okay.
So it better be some heavy hitters. Like, I'm curious what it could be if it. I'm hoping, this is in an ideal world, this is what I picture happening is we have partnerships with all these companies or whatever, and we've made deals for the next 4 years or whatever for all the licenses for their old games, and here's some of them, and this is the other 10, and it's like Castlevania and Contra and like Konami and Capcom and stuff. That's where I hope it's gonna go, and they're waiting to make that reveal at E3, where they're just like, yeah, we have like a long-standing relationship with these companies, and this is what we're doing with them. And also, by the way, their games are on the Nintendo Classics. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can see it going that direction.
Also, I still say to this day, I'll never stop saying it, is I do think there's going to be like a retail release of a $50 or $60 NES Classic Edition pack, where it's like, you own a Switch, you want the games, but you can't hunt down a system, or you don't want it. Like, here's the pack of games, and it's just a win-win for everyone. It's a win for us, who we get 30 NES games for $50 or $60, and it's a win for them, where they are making more money on that than they are on because they're not having to make the hardware. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
So I think that will come out eventually as in some form. So, yeah. It sucks because every time something like this comes out, it's always, well, I guess we'll have to wait till we have more details.
Yeah.
So, and I guess after E3 we'll have more to report.
Hopefully some positive information, but probably
it's always weird with
more vague information.
Yeah.
Nintendo is just such a stubborn company that they'll do whatever the fuck they feel like, and they don't care. They don't care what you think initially about it. I just hope that we're not going towards a cocky Nintendo again, because the system's selling so well.